today an incredible, inspiring and inspired woman who is also an immigrant, a mom, a mortgage banker, among so many other things. But the most important thing, I think, is that I get to call her friend. Welcome, Beata, to Women in Search of Excellence. We are so grateful to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, and I'm really honored to be privileged to join you
Oh,
today.
awesome. So great to have you. I know that you have a whole bunch of stories, Beata, about your life and your mission and your becoming as a woman. And I am so excited to hear about your mission and what excellence means to you today. Give us a little flavor for what your current mission is today.
Um, Defining a mission was very hard for me because I'd rather do things than put a definition to them. So as I was thinking through my 48 years of life, what a mission is, I guess through from the moment I was a child to today, my mission is to be helpful, to make a splash in somebody else's life. And how that splash is arrived at, I guess, changes with my seasons of my life. As in, I needed to be excellent when it came to school because that was my responsibility. That was my job. The excellence meant I needed to be close to God, and so I went to mass every day before I went to school. Excellence and the mission later became uh, being thrown into the mortgage industry very early on, uh, being the best I can in helping, especially the immigrant community, get educated, help them make educated choices when it comes to the mortgage industry. And then I became a mom. And so excellence became getting my kids a life that's going to be a foundation for their happiness and safety
It's
throughout.
amazing how that mission evolves over time, right? That things
Yes,
things
yes.
change as we change in terms of what our why is and different missions that we're on. Do you have a specific mission today that you're focused on achieving?
Um, Currently, right now, my mission is to be able to mm, uh, introduce and help, especially the veteran community around me, and I want to spread it around the nation. Um, Help them with mortgages, obviously, because that's what I do,
Right.
but more so because of the circumstances that came about into my life, to be a ray of hope for those that are on a verge or thinking of not wanting to be alive. And the reason of I think of veteran community is because veterans are probably the most prone, a, a lot more prone to suicide, isolation, and thoughts than any other um, branch of the society. And so, having lost a husband to suicide who was serving in the army, um, my mission has
Become that.
been for those 2 years exactly that.
It's a beautiful mission to help those who need help most that you have direct experience with
Mhm.
in your life. I often find that those experiences, although they don't define who we are, they certainly define where we go, right?
Yeah.
They often are that fire that ignites within us to get us out there and do something to make a difference. As you think about that mission of serving veterans throughout the United States, and particularly those who might be dealing with those mental health struggles,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
helping them from an awareness perspective, and certainly with mortgage financing, that type of thing.
Mhm.
How do you measure how you're doing?
Mm. That's a pretty tough question to answer because um, me feeling good about it is not good enough of a measure, and it's not really a measure.
Right.
Uh, what I have been doing on the side is I've been helping an organization which I know it's Illinois based, but I think it's nationwide, where we actually raise money and
Okay.
raise awareness. So I was about to run the Chicago Marathon in October. Most likely, it's going to be canceled. And I raise for it's Race for Hope is the name of the organization.
Okay.
And so how I measure it, I get money my own, and I go around and ask for donations so we can put programs in place for those that, and most of us members have family members, friends, acquaintances that have lost their life to suicide. Um, so having actual money
Yeah.
to be able to sponsor programs uh, through therapy, group therapy, and such is how I would say I can measure.
Well, that's great. I mean,
Uh,
and raising funds is often, quite necessary in order to live out those missions. So the amount of money raised and the difference that you can see happening with those programs
yeah.
in your communities, that's going to be a huge measurement. I know we've talked about this, Beata, because I've had
Mhm.
the pleasure of getting to know you quite well over the last year in particular. But is there a mantra that you kind of live by, or a favorite quote or affirmation that this is my go-to when maybe you're not feeling it?
Yes, yes. I repeat this daily, and this comes from Louise Hay, a spiritual. She the founder of Hay House, um, and this goes: all is well. Everything is always working out for me.
Mm,
From this situation, only good will come.
mm,
I am safe, and so it is. And as tears come rolling into my eyes, every time hard situations hit, repeating this, and trust me when I tell you, I had to repeat it sometimes 20 times to even uh, acknowledge one sentence of this
yes.
entire quote to be true. But it really is very, very helpful. And putting it in a perspective where things that are happening to me right now are because something better is definitely on the horizon. In general, I'm a pretty optimistic person. It's always, this is half full. It's not half empty.
Right.
Um, and 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 so this affirmation just gives me that peace, knowing that God is always putting me into this situation so I can serve better in the next step.
That's a beautiful affirmation. Something that I picked up from what you said was, hey, and whatever affirmation it is or whatever quote it is, the whole thing isn't necessarily resonating every day, but maybe just one piece of it at a
Yes,
time. And if you keep on repeating it, it's a becoming, right?
yes,
Like
yes, yes,
the first part, okay, I got that, and then the next part, and then the next part, and before long, the whole thing becomes part of you. That's
yes,
beautiful.
yes.
When I know you are a disciplined woman, uh,
Yes.
so I am very, very familiar with your level of discipline, and I know that you have some things in your days, in your weeks, in your months that are just like, you know what? No, this is happening every day, regardless. What are those things that you do on the regular that aid
Mhm.
in you accomplishing your missions?
About 5 years ago, I was introduced to this little a book. I mean, it's not a book. It's a notebook or a workbook. The 5 minute journal. And if I can single-handedly say that one discipline that I have not derailed from is exactly that. Over 5 years, collectively, if I've missed 10 days worth of writing in my journal, that would be it. Every morning and every evening, I put in, and the way it's structured, every page is structured in there, is that it has somewhat of a, there has a quote up on top, something to be inspired by for the day. And then it has 3 lines for what I'm grateful for, uh, 3 lines what I'm looking forward to in this day, in this particular day. And then it has 3 lines for my affirmations. I am that I am. And then in the evening, I am to kind of take a tally of the day and give myself 3 things that went well,
Mm,
and at least 2 things that I could have done better.
yeah.
So I never go to bed without
Reflecting.
reflecting and kind of putting this, doing this to my shoulder and saying, you've done this okay, and this was okay too. But here's what we should be looking forward to in tomorrow, because this could have been done better. Uh, my family laughs at it because I take that everywhere with me, to the beach and anywhere and everywhere I travel. This is always with me. So this probably was on a spiritual level my strongest tool, and my strongest discipline. Um, I can't say that I'm as disciplined meditating every day, but it's at least 3 to 4 times a week that I meditate. Um, that's to feed my soul. Um, and then I'm a strong believer in being active physically, because I believe that that gives uh, gives strength to all the other areas of my life. So I'm an avid runner, although recently I had a little bit of an injury with plantar fasciitis, so I can't really run, but I'm
Not
walking and I'm
fun.
doing
Right.
other things. No, not a lot of fun with that injury, but um, at least 5 times a week, I have to do something that's physical. Now I'm walking rather than running. I do strength training, whatever it is, but something that gets me sweating, because that sweat, in my opinion, brings on the best of me.
I love
And
that. So a strong discipline of journaling
yes,
and morning and evening
yes,
reflections,
yes,
mindset, meditation practice,
yes.
and getting physically active. All three excellent non-negotiables on a daily basis. Is there anything else that you absolutely would not do without?
I love reading. Um, my uh, my 2020 resolution was to read at least one book a month. Um, but it so happened that I had a lot more time on my hands, so I'm doing a little bit more than one a month. I'm probably doing about three and a half books a month.
Fantastic.
uh, I've noticed that with books, and I had a period of time when I always only did motivational and self improvement books, and those are much tougher to read because it's not a reading;
Yeah.
it's a work. Uh, it's working. So I've been mixing them up recently. I do something to work on myself and put myself into work, and then I'll do fiction just for the breeze of it.
Right. One of my favorite authors, Andy Andrews, said, and I'm not quoting him. I'm totally paraphrasing, but he says you have to read novels in order to be creative. Like, I mean, when you read a novel, then you open up your creative mind. But like you said, when you're reading self-help or business books or faith books or whatever the case might
Right.
be, you're actually having to think and dissect and
Yes.
digest, maybe go
Yes.
through all of it. So
Yes.
it's beautiful to have that blend. In
Hmm.
in terms of your mindset, if we think about, I mean, this is a podcast from women for women, right?
Mhm.
And if you're thinking about a woman who's sitting out there and they're trying to figure out their why and get their mindset right, do you have a mindset message that you would share with them?
The only way one can even uh, uh, clean the clutter around them and all the chattering around is by having that moment of peace. For me, that moment of peace is mornings. You have to quiet it down. Be it on your knees with your hands folded into prayer, or be it with your hands open in a meditation. But in order to change your mindset, you have to let your mind completely, your brain to shut down. And the only way I know of to do it is by meditating, by allowing the clean slate to come to you.
Yes.
The things just start flowing. So mindset is nothing else but allowing the flow of the energy. Call it universe, call it God, whatever anybody puts a name, whatever name they put to it, but allow it to funnel it into.
Opening up and allowing that to come in. Right,
Yes,
right.
yes,
I think the beautiful thing that I picked up from that and what you're saying is you have to be intentional about it, right?
yes,
It's just not going to happen by happenstance while you're walking down the street or going for a run or whatever. You have to actually set aside the time
yes,
and get quiet and be still.
yes,
That's great.
yes, yes.
When you think about this journey that you've been on, and I know you kind of shared your story at the beginning, albeit briefly, you shared
Mhm,
lots of stepping stones in determining your why and how you arrived
mhm.
at today. But is there anybody in particular, as you think through this great journey of life, who's inspired or influenced you in a major way along the path?
There's two people. One was my father, uh, who who was the toughest father. At moments, I hated him so much, but he always expected excellence. And now talking, if I talk to a therapist, they say that might not be the best approach to parenting because,
Right.
rather than praise, he always said, "But listen, could you have done better? It didn't matter that my grades at school were A's. Could I have done better for extra credit? If I baked a cake, could that cake be that much fluffier?
Right.
Whatever it was, he always looked for excellence, and I think that forever indebted to him for putting that the thrive for excellence
Mm.
into me, and for always saying that uh, and also not being afraid of being different. Now, when I look at my father, um, you know, in communist Poland, one thing that we all had in common was gray. Everything was gray and blah. There was not a lot of color in the sense of even the way people wore their clothes, but not a lot of color as far as the day to day. Everybody had a job. Everybody went from 8 to 4. There, there was not much of uh, uh, creativity, if you will.
Sure.
Uh, and my father was never afraid to be different.
Mm.
When everybody wore gray, my dad would put on white pants, and I mean, little flamboyant statements,
Right.
but they were so big because what he's taught me is that it's okay to be different, and it's okay to stand out, and it's okay even if people point fingers, because he believed that his ray, his ray of shine was exactly in the way he wore himself, he talked, he spoke, and so on. Um, and my relationship with my dad was very much love and hate because of it, because we all want praise.
Oh,
And
sure. You want to fit in, I'm sure. Some of
yes,
that, right?
yes. Um, but but that praise came really seldom. But when it came, I knew that um, I, that it was worth it, and I really did
You
my
earned
all.
it. You
I earned
obviously
it.
gave it everything if he was
Yes,
giving you praise, it
yes.
sounds like. Who's the
Um,
second person that
the
you
second
thought?
person was my first boss. That's how I got into the mortgage industry. If tell me if I'm going too long and to run on, but um, when when my dad was buying his first place, his he was here in the States, barely speaking English because he didn't have schooling. He came here to work. Um, he asked me to go to the loan application with him to help him translate. Teenager that didn't know how to spell mortgage
Right.
had a mortgage application and was trying to make sense out of the words that I didn't know the meaning of in English,
I'm
right
sure.
along translating it into Polish. But the loan officer that we met said, you need to meet my boss.
Hmm.
Mind you, I was still a teenager. I was still in high school. And so the following week, I go into an interview and I meet Steve. I meet Steve Schrager, and I'm hired on the spot.
Wow.
I have absolutely no clue what mortgages are about. All he had to say to me is that we're going to make you into the best version of you. And since I've been growing up with my dad making me the best version of me, um, I had trust right away in that guy. Again, turned out to be just as my dad, extremely demanding, but always looking for excellence. And I'll tell you that he definitely saw in me what I was not capable of seeing in me.
Hmm.
So both of these guys saw the better version of me
That you
before I
could
was
be.
even willing to open up to the better version of me.
Isn't that the truth about most of us? Most
Yes,
of us need somebody else to say, you know what?
yes,
You've got something. You've got this. You
absolutely.
can do this. And we need that leg up, if you will. I
Yes,
think that that's
yes,
beautiful. Beautiful
yes.
that you were given that opportunity and that he saw that in you. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
When you think about the biggest lesson that you've learned along the way, what would be your one biggest lesson that you would want to share?
I guess it goes back to the same mantra or the affirmation that shared with you earlier, because there were situations in my life where I thought that it was too late. Particularly, I had my daughter at the very very young age um, had mental health issues that were extremely dangerous, and um, I was afraid every day for possibly losing her. And a friend of mine who you also do know, and I won't forget when Renata said this to me. I said, this might be just too late. This might be it. And Renata looked at me and said, it is never too late.
Mm,
It is never too late. And I don't know why I believed her, but I believed her,
right?
and it's never too late.
No, it's not. No matter what, right? As long as we're here and we're still going, then it's
Yes,
not too late.
yes,
It's
yes,
beautiful.
yes,
And a very very impactful statement, but short, brief, and
yes,
you can carry that one with you, right?
yes,
It's never
yes,
too late.
yes.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you, Beata, that you are yearning for me to ask you that you want to tell our listeners?
As I reflect on my life, I would like to extend this to all of your listeners, all of the fellow women, to hold dear in their hearts. Please remember that it is okay to be weak. It is okay to feel sad. It is okay not to be okay. As women and nurturers, we are expected by the society to be super women, which we are, but
Amen.
it's okay for us to take our capes off and sit down and cry. And it is also okay to cry it in front of our children because that shows them that vulnerability is okay, that vulnerability is not a defect, but rather a building block for stronger relationships. So be weak, be sad, just not for too long,
Right.
because all is well and everything is working out for the betterment of you and the world around you. And it's never too late.
I absolutely, positively love that message, Beata.
Thank you.
How can we help you with your current mission? What does that look like?
I would love for you to donate, and I can share that information with you for the suicide prevention um, because funds are always needed for to help reach the people because a lot of times these people do not, their cries for help are so subtle that a lot of us will not notice. So reaching out to them and searching for them will require the funding, but also the message, the content of what we bring to them is going to be very important. Uh, and that's what I would truly, truly, truly appreciate and be grateful for.
Absolutely. So where is that they can donate?
I'm Suicide Prevention, American Fund for Suicide Prevention. I will share the link with you in an email if that's
Wonderful.
okay. Um, what you also can do is be the strongest and best version of yourself because if you are, then you are helping the world around you be better. I read this book once, not once. I've read it many times, and I keep rereading it. It's Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. He talks about a doctor, Dr. Hugh Len, about how he employed this ancient Hawaiian technique in helping people heal. I know I'm going long, but um, the bottom line is that you can help the world by helping yourself, by improving yourself, by zero limits means by creating zero limits for what you're doing, what you're feeling, for uh, uh, cleaning yourself or clearing yourself from any judgment that you pass onto the world and onto yourself. So can you help? Yes, because you can be that clean slate and people around you not only will get inspired, but people around you will be able to see that it's never too late. That Hugh Lan worked in a mental hospital with criminals, so it was a jail for mentally sick and severely mentally sick. Most people prior to him, tenure for most of the doctors and nurses was a couple months.
Yeah.
Nobody could stand working there. And this guy comes in, and one by one,
Mm,
he gets he gets these criminals who again have severe mental issues
sure.
to see that there is a light. So if we can all just be a light first to ourselves and then to the world changes.
Amen. It has been so awesome to be with you today. You are, as I know you desire to be, inspiring and inspired. Beata, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.